If time was needed for distance, with absence has made the heart grow fonder. The marvel of music, socially engineered on purpose, so there would be no comparison, no thoughts to ponder. The world is riddled with riddles. Billions of people trying to figure out life. It's pitiful. Enter our world. This podcast, this journey, the second phase of an analogy. This is a prelude for the story of Season 4. The Doneson Podcast. You better tell somebody.
Donesonians, the freedom of creativity has arrived. Let's take this journey from the US to Brazil, through India onto Europe, from Asia onto the transatlantic and throughout the world. We'll call it the dark side. The Doneson Podcast is in full effect. Watch it, feel it, listen to Shaana Montana, Uncle Rico, Rod, and Rollo. Let's put it where the goats can get
This is how I feel. Only God knows where this is going. We are on the heels of something so important. This podcast has many seasons, but it won't be the last. I'm listening to the Doneson Podcast. I said, I'm listening to the Doneson Podcast. Oh, yeah. It's the Doneson Podcast. Oh,
So,
yeah.
when dating, I'm starting to become clever, you know? I'm finding out that what the right questions to ask a woman.
We gotta get you out of date and get you married, man. And what?
I have too many close friends that have successful marriages and they're upset and angry all the time.
Oh, no.
All right.
They're doing something very, very wrong.
But they're still together.
Yeah, okay. We'll let that slide. Okay, come on.
So I'm starting to become a little bit more clever when finding out the right questions to ask when it comes to dating. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the phone with this girl for hours, like back in the day, hours, right? Watching a TV series with her, hours. And something just hit me, I haven't met up with her yet. Went over to her house. Mm-hmm. So I'll find out whether a female lives in a good neighborhood or not, right?
I don't like the way this goes.
Based off...
anyway, come on.
Based off her gas prices.
Oh, my. What? Are you serious?
So where I live at, my gas is $4.39 a gallon on regular.
Oh, really?
Where she lived at, her gas was $1.89. I hung up the phone.
Really? You should have when I got some gas first.
Fill your tank up.
Right.
And a can too.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have spare change,
Okay, go ahead. Come on.
Everybody that's going to be at the pump asking me, hey, you want your windshield wipers up? No, I'm sorry. All right, so don't forget to tune in every Monday for the audio version of the Doneson Podcast and every Wednesday for the YouTube channel titled The Doneson Top Podcast.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, we do have a Facebook channel that has clippets 2 to 3 minutes of our show that you can watch if you don't watch the whole thing on Wednesday on YouTube. Now, before we get started here, it's time for Rent Due in the City.
Rent due in the city. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but today.
Not until that heathen apologizing for slamming the door in my face.
Rent is due, and if you don't have my money, I'm going to send a Negro named Corn to come get in your shit.
Mr. Edwin Evick, our voice messaging system is down, so I have to read the messages to you. Mr. Edwin Evick voice message from Moss Point, Mississippi, apartment number 111. The garbage disposal is backed up. It's been 2 weeks and nobody's came out to fix it yet. My apartment smells like open as.
Apartment number 111. This is the 4th time this year we have been called out, but you can tell a lot about a person by the way their trash smells. I went through yours and Lord have mercy, oh, it smelt like sour Rocky Mountain oysters. Just to make sure, I touched it with my index finger and it tasted salty. A cookbook should be in your near future.
Mr. Edwin Evick voice message from Portsmouth, Virginia. No apartment number. Mr. Evick, I'm willing to put a little something on it if you can put an elevator in the apartment complex. It's nothing but stairs.
I guess you can't read well, do you? On the application it clearly reads FMNNTA. Fat motherfuckers need not to apply.
Mr. Edwin Evick voice message from Dayton, Ohio, apartment 101. I'm studying after work trying to pass the NCLEX exam, and it's a bunch of Negroes above me playing spades talking loud as hell. All night I hear, I got 3 and a possible. I got 5 and a push. I got nothing. Put us down for board. Over and over, 7 hours straight last night.
Apartment 101, on behalf I apologize from the bottom of my heart. Last year my hand was trash. I didn't have shit.
All right, now it's time for the Doneson Riddle Show.
It's the Doneson Riddle Show. You have 60 seconds to solve the riddle, which is an ample amount of time. If you answer wrong, a dummy's getting electrocuted. And here's your host, Ron!
All right, so we do have a special guest with us today, but before we introduce this special guest, Lemzel, he'll probably be part of the riddle that we're about to solve here.
Okay.
Maybe you need a little help. So you guys have 60 seconds to solve this riddle. If not, Rollo's not here today, but somebody's getting electrocuted.
Okay.
All right, check out this riddle. What is more useful when it is broken?
Me and
Wow.
Okay, Montana.
That's a shot.
Okay, wait a minute, Montana. That is correct, Montana.
I know it.
No, it's not. Anyway,
I knew it.
let me repeat this again. Okay.
Okay, come on.
This is something you can't use, Montana.
Okay.
All right. What is more useful when it is broken? Do you want a hint, or does somebody know the answer?
Say that again now. What is most useful when it's broken?
An egg.
How did you know that?
That's
I'm a genius.
Cause we gonna eat it.
Gosh, that's good, Montana.
Cause we gonna eat that dumb plug.
But it does make sense. It's more useful. But you said it's something. I feel like you said something that kind of threw me off at first, but I don't know.
Oh, I got to say something that throws you off.
Yeah.
All right. It's time for the game over ladder. Montana, let's get it.
Montana, here they go again. Another letter? This is what they wrote. A little oh yeah, a little oh no, and a lot. You gotta be kidding me. Montana is crazy. Even though I'm feeling sad, it's only one day. I turn into you, it makes my day. I'm watching your YouTube on a Wednesday, listening this letter so funny. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to just kind of give a disclaimer before I read this letter.
Doneson legal.
Yeah.
Doneson legal.
We definitely need Doneson legal for this letter. I was like so confused.
Okay, all right.
But I'm going to write. I think Rob may have something to tell us after we get done reading this letter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't get a suit.
All right. So this letter is titled Help. And the person is from Franklin, Tennessee.
All right.
And
Nearby.
It's a millennial, 26 to 41, and it is from Anonymous.
Of course.
Okay, yeah.
And so it reads, Dear Doneson Podcast, I'm a fellow employee of the Doneson Podcast.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. Then he gets.
It's only 2.
Right.
Well,
I'm
it
like,
used to be more.
It's some other staff we don't know about.
No, it's only 2. I've been here from the beginning.
Yeah, it's like.
And I know the 2 who ain't here no more.
So I'm gonna just keep reading. It says, I've been unable to come to work for the past few weeks due to an illness that needs urgent intervention. She is very sick, and this treatment is too costly for her family and loved ones to pay for alone. It's not covered by medical insurance. I am appealing to the hearts and kindness of my fellow company coworkers. So it's like somebody's writing in third person. Company coworkers to help her family raise $500,000, which is the amount needed for this life-saving treatment. Her family has already raised 50% of these funds.
500,000.
Yeah, 500,000. Her family has already raised 50% of these funds, but they can use any help they can to meet their goal. I have a lot of confidence and faith in y'all. If you'd like to show your support, any funds donated will help. All I got is a bologna sandwich.
Wait a minute. This is
I got a double bologna sandwich. Got $250,000. I'm clear my debt.
Hey, whoever look, we're gonna end this on this letter right now. Whoever wrote that, you out your mind.
Right. I'm trying.
All right. Well,
I already know who wrote it. By what you just said.
What? Who wrote it?
you can't say no names.
I ain't trying to get sued.
Oh,
I know who wrote it though.
Rod wrote it trying to scam us.
No, I know who wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Can't believe it.
You know what? We're gonna skip the comments on that.
All right.
Yeah, okay, go
Let's
ahead.
keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to something great.
Okay.
Here. Maestro, kick this off first.
What's up, everybody? I'm Lemzel Johnson with Lifeversation.com. Hey, hopefully you're having a great day. I want to encourage you, though, that you can add some genius into your life, because being a genius is actually common. That's right. Being a genius is common. Let me tell you how to do that. What you have to do is that you have to take your abilities, your gifts, your skills, everything you have, and you have to apply it into today. You have to add yesterday knowledge and information that you've gained from the history and apply it into today to make those wise decisions and choices.
Amen today. Now, our
Okay.
guest today, Lemzel Johnson, is one of the top motivational speakers in the country. He has inspired thousands of audience worldwide in America, Honduras, and Africa, and many more. To be a better communicator, his style is practical, energetic, factual, and yet motivational. He has worked with companies like Lowe's, federal teams, municipalities, and many more. He is currently the operations facilitator for the City of Decatur, Alabama Youth Service Department, and the founder and CEO of Lifeversation, right? LLC, right. In addition, he is the author of 6 books published entitled Building Good Character Starts With You, 7 Steps to Your Next Level, Starting and Finding Focus, The Challenge, Another Challenge, and the 26 Daily. He also has daily and motivational blogs for continuous inspiration. Please welcome to the show, and I'm very excited, Lemzel. Welcome to the show.
What's up?
What's up?
Thank you.
Wow.
Now, we're going to get right into this, but before we get right into this, we have a ton of questions.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
we have a ton. And we want to pick your brain in order to become better. Did I leave anything out before we get started?
No, you're good.
Okay, excellent. Now, I always like to kick off a question, and it might be somebody else's question, but so what? We're talking about speaking, positive thinking, and intelligent, being intellectual. How smart do you have to be in order to be a great leader?
Okay. Well, can I? How you?
you can slice that bologna sandwich, or I know you can. I know you have some experiences.
Oh yeah, we do. So when you say smart, what comes to mind is the acronym
SMART, which is, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Oh, wow.
So, when you say how smart you have to be, I would say, you need to be very specific about what you want. You got to be very clear on your purpose of what you're doing. And then you need to be measurable. So you need to say, hey, especially if you're running a team of people, you got to be able to say, I know John can do this. I know Susan can do this and that. So you need to know the measurements that people can handle as a leader and how much to give or delegate to them. Because if I'm giving somebody some responsibilities that they're clueless in, then, you're messing up as a leader.
Right.
So then when you talk about, specific, measurable, realistic, is this realistically something that can be done? Because sometimes as leaders, we throw these fictitious, dreams out here and people don't have a clue of how to get there.
Right.
And then, so then we have those things that are attainable, we can attain it, and then timely. And so we're making sure that we put it in a time frame. Hey, I need this on my desk by Friday, or, by the end of the month or whatever it is. So making sure that you have those quantifiable things to say, hey, I need so much and so much, this by this time. Yeah.
Right. And the reason I asked that question is because I studied a little bit of Steve Jobs, right? And he said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is the vision that I have in my mind. And he was able to create that. And I didn't think Steve Jobs was necessarily the sharpest tool in the room, right?
Well, you don't have to.
You don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
Okay. You surround yourself with.
Well, you are correct. You surround yourself. Henry Ford, who's the founder of Ford Motor Company.
Right.
So they say.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get that right too. Yeah. So they say. Okay.
Well, they brought him into a room and they were trying to test it. They said, this guy is clueless. He doesn't know anything. And they were giving him a battery of questions of, this, and this. And so they were, kind of really messing with him. How do you do this? How do you do this? And he said, he got to a point of this was in a courtroom, and they got to a point, and he said, man, he got frustrated. He said, look, he said, I don't have to know everything. He said, matter of fact, I have the smartest people on my team. He said, I have a button in my office that I can push and answer any question that you want. Wow. And so what I would say as a leader, the thing is you need to know where to go to get the information.
There you go.
And you need to have a team of people that what we call back your weaknesses.
Right.
So as a leader, you don't have to be strong in all areas, but you need to be what I call humble enough to say that, you know what, I don't know that. But you know what? I know who does.
Right.
And so therefore that empowers you because it's not necessarily, strength is not found just in singleness or the sole proprietorship or that type of, but it's in the, how big is your team?
Right.
And so when you travel in that type of way, and we call that a mastermind team, and the mastermind team means that we're coming together and our strengths are unifying together to become a master group.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what you want to do.
Excellent.
I like that.
Excellent.
Yeah, I like that.
Excellent. So as far as I always had this thing of if I'm commanding a group of 500 people, then I might not be smart in every area.
Well, the problem there is that
you see where I'm going with that, Lemzel?
You're not going to man a group of 500 people.
And people are going to be whispering like he doesn't know anything.
Well, the thing is that that's just like, I'll go speak to some groups and they're like, oh man, the CEO is like, oh man, the my passion is with my people. Well, you don't know your people because you're not meeting with them. So as a CEO, you have the hierarchy. So the CEO is meeting with probably the managers or the supervisors or that type of thing. So that CEO is pouring into that kind of executive team, or not the executive team, but the ones that he is just really kind of pouring into. Right. They are pouring into the workers.
Like his generals.
The management team.
Like his generals and the general. Okay, gotcha.
And so the thing is there, if the vision is clear, then you're looking at there's definite steps and plans and processes and systems that are going to make that happen. And so if everybody's on board, they know their part. They know they're a piece of the puzzle, so to speak. And that's what you do. And so as a communicator, you're looking at, is the CEO communicating the vision, where you want to go, and how to make that happen, the systems that it takes to make that happen. Is he or she communicating that effectively to the next level? Right. And the next level, are they communicating that effectively down to the one we call the workers?
Right.
And if the workers are not producing the results, then there's a mix-up of communication in there somewhere.
So it's to manage that supply chain, so to speak.
Yeah. And so that's it. So it starts at the top. And so, John Maxwell said, success and failure rises and falls on leadership. And that's true. And so if the message is not clear, being passed down to the next level, then yes, there's going to be a break or a breach in the communication process.
Excellent.
How do you think people should handle it when you think about that? Someone being a CEO of a company, and then you have, most times you have a CEO, then like you said, the supply of chain and command, whatever. You have a level of management, and then you have say team members under that. What do you do when that level of leadership that you're trying to inspire that has to go on and carry the torch to the next group, when they are struggling to be inspired? Do you think that really falls directly on that CEO, they're not doing a good job, or? I know that could be.
I think you answered that question there. I think what we would probably say in our line of work is that, let's just say, for instance, I was asked to come on to help this department. And so in coming on to help this department, we recognized that there were some breakdowns in the system. So what we had to recognize was we got to go back, create policies and procedures, and develop what is who are our clients. Let's really identify who our clients are, and then let's bring in, how do we take this client from this particular, let's just say from A all the way to Z? What does that look like? Do we really understand what B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J? Do we understand every single step in there? And do we understand who's responsible for ABC? You see? And then when that is there, an ABC person that's responsible for ABC actually has a clear understanding of, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's almost like an assembly line.
Okay.
When you go to a car factory, this person is only working on the bumper.
Yeah.
This person is only working on the door.
Right.
Yeah.
And so therefore, when you're looking at that, everything, to be really successful, everything has to have that chain, that line. You don't put G up here behind A.
Right.
Right.
And so when you do that, so as you were saying, Montana, is that when you're looking at that, you're just saying, hey, if it's a breakdown, and we have the breakdown is happening between G and that's where it is, then you got to come in and say, how do we fix that? And what is it supposed to look like? A lot of times there's not real clarity. And we talk about it. I coach a lot of people. Even today I was coaching somebody and they were saying, hey, I'm really wanting to succeed at work. Well, that's fine, but I'm usually more interested in you succeeding personally, because what you have to recognize is that when you are up on purpose, and 95% of people in the world do not have a clear purpose.
Yeah,
they're just going from one thing to another. And so if you are very clear on the purpose of your life, then what you start recognizing that it influences what you do every single day.
Else. I agree.
And so it has to come from there. That's the foundational piece, is that you have to be solid and core. And so a lot of times you don't really get there unless you go through a significant life difficulty like I did. And you face death straight on in the face, then it really kind of changes your perspective of how you live.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is failure will drive you to your success.
If you allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, even John Maxwell says, when you fail forward. And so again, that's the mindset that I want to understand, that failure is a part of success.
Right.
Yeah, I have to be able to do that. So, but when I fail, I say you do either one or two things. You're either going to get bitter or you're better.
Right.
And so and a lot of people get bitter.
Yeah.
And they blame, play the blame game. It ain't my fault, and it's such and such, it's my mom and them and everything. Well, come on. I was talking to a person the other day, and they were thinking, yep, there you go.
Yeah.
They were thinking, they were thinking that, that I am who I am because of my parents and everything. And you are 45 years old, and you're still blaming mom and them.
Ooh, you gotta let it go.
So the thing is that we say, okay, are you, and there's a Bible verse to talk about when I was a man, or when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood a child, all that, but when I came a man, I put away child. So therefore as a child, and that put away is something that you have to willfully, consciously do every single day. I got to decide, hey, I don't want to act that way anymore.
Right.
And I don't want to think that way anymore. I don't want to just, deal with people that way. And so therefore, if you want to be an honest person, and this is where we come with, you need to understand, what are your core values? What are the things you value? And I didn't get that until I went through my near-death experience, and that's in the book, the bestseller right there, What's in Your Toolbox, or my 7 core values. that I say everybody needs to have. And so that's honesty, respect, diligence, self-control, responsibility, and wisdom. You got to have those things. And the first one is honesty for me, is because if you're lying to yourself, you're not going to change.
I know you a lot of me too.
And I say, so the 3 levels of that. And so you're either lying to yourself, you're lying to others, and you're lying to God.
Right.
And so therefore you're stunning yourself right there in the foot. And the next one is attitude. You got to have what I call a teachable attitude.
Yeah.
You should be able to learn from a 3-legged dog walking across the street.
Right.
You know, can you do that? Or you can learn from your hellish situations. You know, things that are really difficult. And you say, man, I want to throw up my hands. And I was there too, wanting to commit suicide and all that. But you throw up your hands and say, you know, I can't do it. And so therefore, when you hit that point where we call brokenness, I think I heard Montana say that, you know, broken man.
Okay.
But when you get to the point of brokenness, I think, or another way of saying it is when you get to the bottom, there's only one way to go, and that is go up. If you don't allow it to kill you.
Do you think with your 7 pillars, do you think people like struggle with like accountability for those things?
Yes.
Because you mentioned about only 95% of the world does not know their purpose.
That's correct.
Do you think about that many struggle with accountability?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why does the world struggle with accountability?
Well, accountable to what?
Right. To anything. So the things you're saying make perfect sense when I talk about having discipline, being honest, doing the right thing, having integrity. My thing is accountable to anything, because we see people each and every day now that, you know, social media gives us access much more than we would like to have to people's everyday life. You just see people in so many situations where majority would say that they're doing something wrong or something that's not a positive spin on the direction their life should be going. And when you have, say, a person like yourself that's able to point them in the right direction or give some kind of education, it's like, no. They still want to lean on everything you said, my childhood, my parents, my dog, whoever. So it's like, why do people struggle to say, I need to do better? It's me.
Yeah. Well, it's simply put is we like excuses because it's a cop-out. It's an easy way to just say it ain't my fault, so I really don't have to man up, woman up to really step up to the plate. And then the next question is going to be, you know, do we really want somebody that close in our lives telling us what we want to do?
Right.
That's the main thing, right?
That's the thing that I tell my team all the time at work. Excuses only serve those who make them.
Yeah.
You don't serve nobody else. Who's going to serve? You come to me all the time about excuse why I didn't do this or I didn't do that. Who is that serving?
Yeah.
It ain't serving the customer.
But I guess they don't
It
care.
ain't serving your job performance.
Right.
It don't serve you.
Right. Well, and again, I think it falls back on leadership. If we're talking about in a company setting, then we have to recognize that do we, as a leader, are we allowing places where there's not a clear understanding? If I know that I'm supposed to be, let's just say, for instance, back in making cars in a plant, if I know that, you know, step 1 is I pick up this tool, drop it down, put the door on, I got 4 bolts to put on, like that. The next thing is for me to put this on like that. Then that's simple. So is there excuse for you not doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and come back in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Right. Now I'm not knocking, people that work on the assembly line, but what I am saying is that life is full of routines. Right. If you're going to be successful at anything, you have to have a routine.
Right. Yeah.
And so the thing is that routine, do you have accountability of someone routinely speaking into your life to help you stay on point? Okay. And so therefore I need in my life, I need a guide or some person that's doing that. The church used to be that part. The church used to be a person where you or somebody or people, small groups that were speaking into your life. And so it was constantly when you went to church on Sunday night and Wednesday, it was a part of reminding you of what character looked like and what you needed to do to come into alignment. And so when we remove that factor of speaking into our lives, of someone or something speaking into our lives every single day, every single week, we're not being reminded of who and what we need to be and do. And so there's a breakdown there. Right. And so the body is made up, or should I say in the body, but you are made up of 7 different elements. And so we have to recognize all 7 of those have to grow. And so that's your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, your financial, your vocational, and your relational. Those are 7 different areas of where you are. And so we have to look at, sometimes we focus on the physical. I'm eating right, I'm working out and all that.
Right.
But, we're not feeding our mind with positive stuff. Because every day we're looking at beat them down, shoot them up, oh, get her, all that. Right? So we got all that going on. And so we recognize we're feeding our mind one thing, but we're feeding our physical bodies one thing. And then we even get into the spirit part.
Right.
We ain't even talking about that. And then our finances are jacked up. And then come on top of that, our relationships, mama them, we ain't talking to mama them, uncle them, we don't want to talk about them. And then, so all those areas are messed up when we were just focusing on one. Or we come to the new year and we're like, okay, I'm gonna get closer to God.
New year, new me.
Yeah. So new year, new me. That's a great vision or a great goal, but there's no steps of how you're gonna make that happen.
Right.
And so what we look at, which is quoted a whole lot, the verse, write the vision, make it plain, so he or she that readeth it may, be able to run by it. Well, it's great. You can write it down.
Right.
But the writing, the making it plain part, we leave out. That is the steps of how to make that happen. Sometimes it takes years.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that what's step 1, 2, and we don't like the struggles of what it takes to get there.
Right. Yeah.
People come to me and say, man, I've written 20 plus books, I published 6. So I said, why you ain't put it? I said, it takes time. It takes money. Sometimes you got to go work a whole year to just do that.
Yeah.
I've been working on one book called 21 Secrets of Nonverbal Communication that I started writing after George Floyd.
Right.
And I interviewed a lot of police officers and just trying to see, exactly what are some of the breakdowns and things like that. And so I was writing this book, and I still have it. So on the computer right here, 21 Secrets of Nonverbal Communication. And so one thing is, when did the police officer with the knee on George Floyd's neck, when did he stop listening to the nonverbal thing when he went from I'm restraining you to I'm killing you? You see? So there was something there. So one police officer told me, I think this is in the book, he said being a policeman is really the art of negotiation. All the time. He said anytime you're confronting a situation, you want to negotiate, how can we resolve this the best way? So I just take that into example for all of us. When we're communicating with people, the thing is to negotiate. And people ask me, so what is the greatest factor of communication? It's listening.
Yeah.
Can you, because a lot of times we say we're listening, but we already have our comments of what we're going to rebuttal the person saying. So we're not really listening, because when we're listening, we want to say, probably come back with questions like, well, I heard you say this. Is that what you meant? I read your body language. You were saying that you were happy, but you know what? Your facial expressions and your demeanor and your tone and all those things were saying something differently. So are we reading those things? Are we really hearing what the person is saying? Not with words. Can we see that? Because 93% of communication is nonverbal.
Right.
So it comes from your tone, your body gestures, and all that.
energy.
Expressions and all of that. Yeah.
That's it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear about your experience, though, if you could share.
Yeah. So
If you're comfortable.
With that.
oh man, I talk about it all the time.
Okay.
That's the senior piece. I'll try to edit it down. I know our time is of the restraint. But in 2008, I was living in Memphis, Tennessee at that time, and woke up. Didn't wake up. I worked in. My wife woke up at 3 a.m. and noticed that I was in the middle of a grand mal seizure. And so a bit of my tongue, blood. I was dying. So I was rushed to the hospital, and they found out that I had a 2-inch brain tumor. So one was in the middle of in between my 2 lobes, and the other one was growing into my left lobe. And so that particular day, the ENT came in and said, well, the surgeon is going to be doing surgery, trying to debulk this tumor. And so what we're going to do is he said, I'm going to cut your nose off. We're going to cut your nose off. And so the surgeon can go in through your sinus cavity and debulk this tumor. And so, what do you do? Like, okay, well, here we go. And so the next morning, about 5 a.m, the surgeon comes in. He says, look, I've looked at the MRI. I don't ever recommend you having surgery on this. He said, your chances of having a quality of life is very slim. He said, because the tumor in the middle of in between your brain tumor is wrapped around your carotid nerve and your optical nerve. He said, if I'm off a fraction of a hair, you could be blind for the rest of your life or be in pain for the rest of your life. He
What? My goodness.
He said, what's growing in your left lobe is not a mass in your brain. He says it's intertwined into brain tissue. And so therefore, for me to get that out, I'm going to have to take brain tissue. And that's located where your speech and your short-term memory is. And he said, I don't ever recommend. So I'm in intensive care. And once he tells me that, he said, okay, you can go home. There's nothing we can do for you. So just, take medication, and hopefully over a period of time, the medication will help this tumor shrink. And that's what it is. The tumor is still there, but it's shrunk. The pressure is relieved, but it's still there. So it's a definitely testimony of how you make it through all of that. But the transition, the process in the system, and I tell people this a lot of time as a part of the story. So I remember I was wanting to give up. And at nighttime I would walk, and we were kind of on a busy street, the house we lived in. We moved to Mississippi, and I remember just saying, you know what, I just need to go out here and lay in the middle of the street and call it over. And, just this, because you're looking at family, my wife and kids are suffering because of me, because I can't.
Well, that's what you're thinking.
Right. So, I'm reading the nonverbals.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I want to do. But what ended up happening was, at that point, God took me down memory lane, and he said, remember all these times you almost died? I said, yeah, I remember. He said, so if I wanted to take you out, I could have taken you out.
Could have got you.
Yeah. So why are you not accepting this as the same thing?
Right.
So a couple of weeks later, I had my mom told me, she said, hey, this lady is 96 years old. She's been praying for you, and she wants to meet you. I said, okay. I said, all right. So my wife drives me out. I have vertigo real bad, vertigo. I'm all over the place. So I'm walking with a cane, and I get out to her house. She's in a house probably built in the 1920s. It's a white house, wooden frame house, and she is sitting on the porch in a rocking chair. And so I get out of the car, and she says, hey, son, come on over. Come on, I've been waiting for you.
Mississippi, right?
Yeah, Mississippi, yeah. I've been waiting for you. She's 96 years old. So I come up and say, yes, ma'am. She said, sit down right here beside me. And I sit down beside her. She said, I've been praying for you. I said, well, thank you. Thank you. It's really tough like that. She said, I want to tell you something. I said, yes, ma'am. Tell me. She said, look me in my eyes. And so I look in her eyes, and she says, you don't know nothing, son, until you've been through something. Mm. And God can't use you until you've been through it. Mm. So hang on in there.
There you go.
So in essence, what she
Life
was saying,
lessons.
Well, that's what she was saying. Stop complaining. Stop. Embrace your struggle, because it's refining you of who you need to be, and therefore what you become because of it is what the world needs.
Right.
And so in essence, that's what it refines. So therefore now, being able to go to Africa, Ghana, and talk and speak in schools in Honduras and speak in schools down there, and then now doing trainings and stuff all over the country.
Wow.
And so the thing is that it refined me, but not only did it do that, when you really embrace your struggles and become who you need to become, what it does, it authenticates your message.
Right.
So now when you speak, it's just not
people can hear it.
mere words.
They can hear it.
Right.
It speaks, and it's like, man, you've been through something.
Right.
And you still got the tumor, man. You struggled through this. So now when you open your mouth, it empowers people because you've been through it.
Right.
It changes the whole factor.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now what we say, and when I tell people, and I think one of the questions was, I said, now you're not speaking from head knowledge. You're coming from the heart.
Oh, man.
And what comes from your heart is able to reach the heart of people, whether they're thinking or not. It comes from someplace deeper that it actually impacts their lives.
People can understand truth.
Mm-hmm.
You can authenticate truth from the BS.
Right.
Experience.
Life teaches you that. You know what I'm saying? You can hear the BS, and you, oh man, get on away from me.
Right.
Today.
Right.
But when somebody come from a place of sincerity and them been through a trial and tribulations, the mind seem to kind of understand and can recollect and can, okay, this is real. That ain't no BS. Now I can understand and I can grow and I can learn something. But a lot of people don't, I don't know what it is that I'm not gonna say it's upbringing or anything like that. I think it goes deeper than that. It goes to a sense of creation, because in life we all know truth. We know right and wrong before we even know right and wrong.
Right.
You know when you're doing something right and when you're doing something wrong. Babies even know it, man.
Right.
They know it. So it's something that I believe the Creator has placed in every human being.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether you want to accept it or reject it, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also,
But you know.
to add to that, I think your story is so, it's accurate in a sense that people can see your heart. But I think that being that vulnerable is something that if a lot more people did it, we may see a lot more people being able to tap into their own passions and go on the path that you're on. Because to me, being vulnerable is a very scary thing, to be my most transparent and authentic self. Even knowing if I have a story and a testimony that I could share with the world that could allow me to tap into my truth, but also inspire so many others, that is one of the scariest things possible.
Well, it's scary when you don't know your purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
When you know your purpose, and this is why I'm here, and this is what I'm destined to do. What that does, it kicks you into a passion that, you know what, I don't care anymore.
You got to accept it, though.
You take the hit.
You got to accept
I can relate.
You got to accept that purpose.
That makes perfect sense. And I think about something that, recently, not trying to plug my own stuff.
No,
but
plug it, baby. Plug it.
I have a YouTube channel, and I actually have a series coming out called Healing is a Journey. And it's going to be me deciding to be transparent, because I think that I am finally tapping into the reason why I'm here and what my truth is. And I feel like I cannot not share this with the world. Like I have to do it. But it took so long for me to get to that space to just be like, Shaana, it's okay. Despite, the judgment, what anybody has to say, you have to do this. And I think it goes along with what you just said. I got to that place of like, I don't care what anybody thinks. Like I have to share this message with the world, because not only is it healing for me, but I know it's going to be healing and impactful for others. And it may inspire them to be able to do the same thing. It's almost like a trickle down effect. You're right. We're so scared of things before we tap into our passions. But I think once we are able to get there and be open and honest, it can be life altering for everybody. So it's just further proof of what you said. And it's been scary for me all these 21 years I've been on this earth. I'm just,
Really?
That's that old saying about fear.
Yeah.
So
fear driven.
Yeah. Don't allow fear to run your life.
Yeah. Anything you do, they say you should do it out of fear or love.
Right. If you feel something so bad, man, that it numbs you, you got to tackle that thing.
Or paralyzes you.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that thing, man, because you can't grow, you can't develop, you can't do anything if fear is your dominant force in your life.
And you know what overcomes that, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
Do what you feel.
Tell me.
Okay, you don't know. Some people say it's faith, but it's actually love.
Yeah.
I just say fear or love drives you to do things. Okay.
Well, there's a verse that says, perfect love casts out all fear.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what you have to recognize is that when I feel loved, when I feel valued and appreciated, and I feel that I'm operating my purpose, that dominates anything that you're afraid of.
Right.
Does.
And so therefore, yes, you want to get understanding, get knowledge, get information. All those things are great. But in the midst of that, you have to say, I'm loved. And so therefore, you don't have to fear, things that
You're
dark
loved.
No.
You're
right.
loved.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, when you say I'm loved, does that mean I'm loved by God? Or is it loved by family or friends, or what?
I think it's a conglomerate of all of them. Yeah. So I think you need to know, hey, I've been created in His image. I've been created here for a purpose. I could have been born 2,000 years ago, or I could have been born 200 years ago, but some reason or another, I've been put here now, and I understand because I'm here now, the shoulders that I stand on, make me who I am. My wife and I were going through just some different, genetic or some history of our families, and what we recognized that her grandfather or great-grandfather started a school, and I recognized that my great-grandfather started a school
Get out of
back
here.
there. And so we recognize here we are, and we're going like, no doubt we're doing trainings and we're doing this. And I said, we got this. So now this is what we got to pass on to our children,
Right.
that they can take. And so people think legacy is just, I'm building this on legacy. And I was speaking to a group over in Muscle Shoals. They brought me in to do this 50th year anniversary legacy tour for this company, and I was studying legacy. Legacy is the time between when you die and when the last person on earth mentions your name. That's legacy. And so we recognize we keep people like Martin Luther King alive. But what about all the other people that were very big people in there? And we may not mention them anymore.
Right.
So that means their legacy has died. that time. But when we are constantly mentioning their names and the impact they've made possibly in our lives, we keep their presence alive. You see, we still talk about George Washington and you know, all this, and we talk about the different founding fathers and things like that. So we're keeping their legacy alive. And so the thing is that the one reason why I wrote a lot of books, or still writing a lot of books, is because I recognize that when I die, can something that has been touched by me touch other people's lives?
Right.
Whether it keeps or not, it may be in a library somewhere, but people can pull that back up and they can be like, wow, this is still good stuff. And so can you make sure that you leave your mark because you've done something to put an imprint on the generation that you were impacting?
Like pushing a residual.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Man. What if, you know, I do talk to people one-on-one. They maybe call me up for motivation, or they maybe are too scared to reach out and do things. But I found that, I guess when we talk about the 95 percentile, that most of those 95 percentile that I talk to don't necessarily believe in a higher power. So
cut them off.
Well, how do you, but there are people in this world that are successful that don't believe, right?
Yeah.
How important do you think belief is?
Well, I think the thing is you believe in something. And I'm not pushing religion on anybody.
Nobody, right.
So that's not, I don't think that's my place. But the thing is, I think, is to be example. And I think the thing we have to recognize is be true to you. Okay. So what do I feel? What do I believe? And so therefore I need to live my life. It's not to push anything on anybody, but what I would say is that, hey, my lifestyle and what I've been through should be a testimony, an example of, man, something has happened. You know, do you like that? So even for the people that they say they're unbelievers and they don't believe, but they still say they have a very high discipline. To be successful, you have to be disciplined. Just, I mean, point blank. And you have to have structure, and usually it's something that's driving you and pulling you and making you go further. Okay, so that's it. Now, whether or not, you know, you're saying this is God and whatever like that, and those are things I think on another level. But I think that the bottom line is you believe. It's just like air. You may not believe in, hey, I don't believe in, I can't see the air, so I don't believe in it. Right. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's not there. So, I mean, there's so many things that we cannot explain. You can't explain. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Denver, Colorado, and I'm looking at, you know, all these things that we're looking at the mountains, and we went to the Garden of the Gods, and we went to Red Rock and all that. And so all these different things are going, and we're like, wow, you know, ain't no human did this stuff. Right. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, the lava or whatever went right here. Why did it stop there? We're looking at, you know, the different, we went to the Rocky Mountains, and we just, you know, all the stuff you just measure. I'm like, wow, you know, this is nothing that just we've done. So wherever you are, you're going like, yeah, there's stuff that you have no clue of how it happened. Right. Yeah. So we just know whatever happened with some type of order or something, because you recognize you can't just throw stuff out there and it just feel it's going to adhere to itself and collect itself. No, it's something. I mean, this table, this desk, these microphones, everything's wiring. Somebody has come together and connected all this stuff together. Right. So there's order and structure. And what I usually teach, I say you cannot get order in the midst of chaos. Right. You have to get order, bring it into chaos, and then make everything align up to where it's supposed to be. Right. You got to do it. Right. And so the same thing with our lives. If your life is chaotic and you're just like, oh, I'm frustrated and all that, well, you got to say, okay, am I in alignment with where I'm supposed to be? Right. And doing what I'm supposed to do. Because you're only here for, as Muhammad Ali said, you're only here for a good 70, 80 years. Right. And then you go. What kind of impact are you going to make? Right. Yeah. And so therefore, the impact that you're going to make has got to be something that's, you know, what my breath I'm taking, and, you know, what is it? What significance am I really helping other people? Because that's really what you're here for. How am I going to help? How is my life going to help other people's lives live in a better way?
Right.
Amen on that.
Like that.
Could you leave us with anything would you like to leave us with?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, when I did radio, I used to end with the radio station say, you know, remember, whatever your mind can conceive, your body can achieve. It's a matter of taking your 2 vitamins. And that's be positive and be determined. Oh, wow. And that's guaranteed to see you through it.
I love it.
I like that. I like that.
I love it.
Knock.
On that note, thank you, Lemzel.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Doneson podcast.
Like that.
The Doneson, it's a Doneson podcast.